27. Early pencil leads were made of solid graphite mined in Cumberland in Britain. Modern methods of manufacturing pencil leads from powdered graphite. So first they were talking about solid graphite, and now they're talking about powdered graphite. Powdered graphite are the result of research sponsored by the government of France in the 1790s, when France was at war with Britain and thus had no access to Cumberland graphite. Okay, so modern methods were made when France didn't have access to Cumberland graphite. So if it's a modern method, then it doesn't use the Cumberland graphite, right? If it's modern, then it uses powdered graphite, right? Okay. Awesome. I don't think there's any other information that I'm really getting out of the stimulus that I'm seeing as super important right now. So let's move on to the question. The information above most strongly supports which one of the following? A, the world's only deposit of graphite suitable for manufacture of pencils is in Cumberland in Britain. Do we know that that's the world's only deposit of graphite? No. Maybe, this doesn't even say like at the time, right? So like maybe they found another one last year. Who knows, right? This is like vague. We have no idea. It's saying only deposit of graphite. Well, maybe there was another deposit of graphite, but they just couldn't get to it, right? And so it says they just didn't have access to the Cumberland graphite. Well, maybe they also didn't have access to some other graphite that's somewhere else, right? That's solid as well. So we don't know. Actually, it's saying the only deposit of graphite suitable. We actually can directly contradict that, right? Because they got access to powdered graphite, right? This isn't saying that's the only deposit of that's not even saying for solid graphite, right? So that's definitely wrong. B, in the 1790s, France's government did not know of any accessible source of solid graphite appropriate to meet France's need for pencils. I kind of like B, so we can leave it open because, that's kind of what I'm getting out of the end, right? Because they're saying, hey, like France didn't have access to this Cumberland graphite, so they used powdered graphite. That kind of suggests that they didn't have access to solid graphite, so they, used powdered graphite. I kind of like B, so I'm going to leave that open. I'm not loving it enough to circle it yet. C, one of the causes of war between France and Britain in the 1790s was the British government's attempt to limit the amount of Cumberland graphite being exported to France. Do we know that that was one of the causes of war? Not necessarily, right? They never talk about any of the causes for this war, so it's definitely not C. Government-sponsored research frequently... Okay, do we know anything about government-sponsored research in general and what it frequently does? No, right? We know what happened with the government-sponsored research in this one case. We don't know what government-sponsored research frequently does or what it involves. We have no idea, right? E, even today, all pencil leads contain Cumberland graphite. We have nothing that suggests that, right? We know that early pencil leads were made by graphite mined in Cumberland in Britain, but we don't know anything about, even this is enough to cross it out, right? Do we know anything about what's going on today? We know that modern methods use powdered graphite. Do we know whether that comes from Cumberland? We have no idea. We don't even know if modern is referring to today. So we can definitely cross out that, meaning that my best answer here is B.